All right, welcome to the podcast. This is Bourbon, Beats, and Brews, the podcast for the enlightened drinker. I'm Chris.
I'm Mike.
Welcome to the show. All right, well, since this is kind of the first little thing, we're going to a little, background about each other. I'm born and raised in Arizona. Didn't have my first drink till I went to college. Unfortunately, it was a Zima.
It's okay. It's okay.
I didn't like beer. Like literally the beer that was around me, this was 2001. So, it was Bud Ice, Natural Ice. PBR wasn't really a thing where I was.
Keystone Light.
Oh, God. Keystone. Yeah. Horrible. But I knew I liked, like pina coladas and things like that. I know I liked fruity drinks, and Zima was literally the only thing. And I mean,
gets the job done.
Yeah, it was way before its time.
Yeah.
Like now there's hard everything.
That's true.
Yeah.
Zimas were like the original seltzer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the original malt beverage. They tried to bring it back.
Did they?
Like a couple of years ago, I think.
Failed.
I don't know. I don't know if it was a limited run or what, but I was looking for it. I'm like, I need this in my life again. Simpler times. Do you remember your first drink? Not first drink, like first taste of alcohol.
I do, yeah. So I grew up in Northern California. My family, they weren't really big drinkers, but we used to have a big 4th of July party every year. And I think I was probably 13 at a 4th of July party, and my dad, he always had Sierra Nevada pale ale. That was like it was just what was around growing up. And I remember I had a sip of it and I could not stand it. I was like, what? This is terrible. It is so bitter. I did not know why people drank it. And that was my first experience with it. I didn't really even start drinking until college because it was just, I was like, oh, it's terrible.
Yeah. My mom's allergic to brewer's yeast. So,
oh, jeez.
So now we know that she can drink a lot of European beers. As long as the European beer doesn't have a W in the name, it doesn't use a certain kind of yeast.
Oh.
If it does not, so if it has one, it has the yeast. If it doesn't have a W, it doesn't. So she can drink those. She can drink like Stella, things like that.
Interesting.
And Coors Light. Coors Light doesn't use brewer's yeast. So that's kind of what I stuck to when I started drinking beer because I didn't know if I had the allergy. But the very first sip of alcohol was... Now, I'm not going to name names because my parents are going to listen to this, and I don't want them calling up my friends. It was on a band trip.
Like school band?
A school band, yeah, marching
fun.
Band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one time at band camp,
Yeah,
Chris had a drink.
That. No, but it was on a bus. I think it was to a competition. I don't remember. But one of my friends bought a warm bottle of rum, like one of the little airplane ones, in a water bottle. And he had put water in there thinking that make it was, cold. No ice, just water. And passed it around. And I took a sip of it. This is the devil's juice. Why would anybody... I don't even know what kind of... I knew it was rum. I didn't know if it was something else. What kind of rum? It was just rum. Could have been, dollar store rum. For all I know. It was disgusting. And it literally turned me off of drinking. It actually did a good job. I didn't drink in high school. I never really did any of that stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, you get cheap vodka and it tastes like rubbing alcohol.
Handle vodka.
Yeah, like you just
handle stuff.
You get bad booze and it tastes like what you're paying for. So I feel like a lot of kids get their first experience with some sort of cheap. Cheap booze, and it's probably a good thing because it definitely turns you off. So,
and we're not saying that you shouldn't go through these things because you have to make mistakes to know what you don't like.
That's true.
Now, we are the podcast for the enlightened drinker, so we're going to try to point you in certain directions, but don't blame us if you don't like it.
A lot of people ask me, like, because I'm a pretty big bourbon drinker, right? I've got a pretty decent selection floating around here. And a lot of people ask me like, what's the best bourbon, or, what's the best I can buy? And I always tell people, the best bourbon is the one you like to drink.
Yeah.
Right. So, I have a tendency to like wheated bourbons, right? They're a little sweeter. I know a lot of my friends really like the rye bourbons, and don't get me wrong.
No, I love the rye.
Yeah. I like a rye, but I veer myself towards more of the wheated bourbons, right? That's kind of where my palate goes.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the best drink? It's the one you like.
Yeah.
Me growing up, after I got my taste for alcohol, it was dark beers and Jack and Coke. Like that was like I was all throughout the military, Jack and Coke. Jack and Coke.
Like if you started on whiskey, you always started on Jack.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I think kids nowadays drink Fireball.
That is disgusting.
I don't even want to call it whiskey, right?
No, it's not even close to whiskey.
It makes me physically sick to drink. But
now, story about Fireball. I was playing a gig in New Mexico, this bar called the Dirty Bourbon, Albuquerque, one of my favorite places to play in the country. And Fireball had just hit, like it was brand new. And being a musician, I get my drinks for free. So I'm like, you know what? I have to try this. And it was cold, and I tried it. I despise it. But in the back of my mind, I was like, this is going to go crazy. I had no idea how crazy it was going to be, because now everybody has a cinnamon whiskey and everybody bases a lot of their drinks around Fireball. But I was like, this is something.
I'm not terribly opposed to it in things, but
Jack Fire.
Yeah, people like to drink it straight. Oh, let's do a shot of Fireball. It's like, why? Why would I do that to myself?
If people who like Fireball, go try Jack Fire.
It is much better.
It's all the taste with none of the burn, none of the weird aftertaste. It's
tastes like Jack with cinnamon in
like
it.
Jack. Mm-hmm. Everything tastes like Jack.
Yeah, all Jack tastes like Jack, which we'll get to at some point in the podcast. I have a bottle of barrel proof Jack over there. It's like 136 proof, and I'm gonna let everybody in on a secret. It tastes like Jack Daniels.
Yep.
So.
And it's spicy.
Yeah.
But going back to the beer, like I said, I tried to stay with Coors Light because I didn't know if I had that allergy. It took me a long time, and I can't remember when I figured out that I liked like darkers, like Bocks and Ambers and Reds. Not necessarily stouts, porters, if it's really cold outside. Actually, a porter mixed with a vanilla vodka is ridiculously good.
That actually doesn't sound bad.
No, it was a special at a bar one time. I was hanging out with my friends. Hey, do you want, this is a $3 can of porter. Well, yeah, it's $3.
It's like a root beer float almost, or like a vanilla float.
You know what makes it better? A $5 shot of vanilla vodka. Excellent. Bring me that too. I had like 3 of those. It was...
Yeah, you're probably feeling pretty good walking out of that bar.
It was excellent.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, yeah, I mean, so... you talk about beer, what you drank. I didn't really like beer. It took me a long time to like beer. Yeah. So, when I got out of the military, I was a Jack and Coke guy throughout the whole military, right?
It seems like a military
thing. It's a very military drink.
Every military guy I've ever known is like
Jack and Coke, Coors Light, or Bud Light. Like that's what you drink when you're in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And I got out of the military and I moved to Denver, and this is 2010, and the craft beer scene was going bananas, right? I mean, in Denver, you can turn and throw a rock and you'll hit a brewery, right? Yeah. Like there's breweries everywhere, and all my friends are drinking these IPAs and double, triple IPAs, and I just didn't have a taste for it, right? So going back to the Sierra Nevada, I went to Costco and I bought a 48 pack of Sierra Nevada. And every single day I drank 2 of them. Every single day I came home from work and I drank 2 Sierra Nevadas. And I was like, I'm going to drink this until I like it. And sure enough,
at the end,
after about 40 of them, it's about 20 days in, I started picking up on different flavors, and boom.
See, that would be the complete opposite for me.
Oh, yeah?
Because if I'm going to drink it till I like it, 20 beers in, I'm going to set this thing on fire. I do not like it anymore. I do believe that there is too much of a good thing. You know, you find, and that's human nature. You find something you like it, you're like, mine. You know, but it's like music. You know, you find that one song, you put it on repeat.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then 2 days later, you hate it.
Yeah, because you've played it out.
Yeah, because you've played it out, or you hear it on the radio 80,000 times.
Yeah, they definitely like to do that on the radio.
Yeah, that all has to do with money. Anyway.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was like, you know, after you know the story after that, right? So I got that taste for hops, you know, and it's kind of interesting because it always, like, when I was a kid, right, like I tasted my dad's, it always tasted like pickle juice to me for some reason. I don't know why that was the flavor I picked up on. Maybe my palate just didn't know what hops were or whatever. But you know, like I choked down like 40 beers, 20 days worth. I was drinking 2 a day for 20 days, and I started picking up on these like citrus notes, and I was like, oh, like I didn't notice this before, right? And I'm getting grapefruit and pine, and I'm like, all of a sudden I like this. And then I started branching out, and then I started brewing my own beer.
Yeah.
And that was when things really kind of got exciting for me.
The science, you're like, this is why this tastes like this.
Exactly.
You know, you do this to the hop, you get this.
Yeah. Depending on when you add it, how long you put it in for the boil, whether it's a finishing hop or you add it in a dry hop, all those different things give you different flavors. And it's kind of like, people talk about like cooking. It's more like baking. Brewing beer is more like being more like being a baker, right? Because you need to have your right ratios. You know, you got to have all your measurements correct, right? And you got to take really detailed notes. That's one of the things, like.
And obviously, I cannot be around when you brew, because we tried.
It actually turned out.
We actually tried to do a Bock. Bock is one of my favorite kinds. And we got together, you know, after the kids went to bed, sat out in the driveway, drank. You know, you drink while you make drinks. Your neighbor came over. He was hanging out. We saw Josh running around. It was a good time. And then it didn't take. But then like 2 weeks later, you kind of left it out?
Yeah, so what ended up happening was I accidentally bought the wrong yeast. So I bought a lager yeast.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And it wasn't cold enough for the lager yeast. So long story short, it was my fault. Doesn't happen very often but you know, it's just like anything, right? Like everything has a variable to it, right? And if you don't control all of the variables, you could end up with a different product despite using all the exact same ingredients. So
Bock plus or Bock minus, depending.
I mean, just add a whole bunch more sugar. You'll end up with like a triple Bock.
Oh, triple Bocks are good.
Yeah. It'd be a really sweet, dry triple Bock, but it'd be a triple Bock.
Sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's stop talking about drinking. Let's start drinking.
All right, let's do it.
And the age-old session,
liquor before beer.
You're in the clear.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about our favorites. Well, not necessarily our favorites, but our everydays. The more obtainable bottles, $30-$40. Just if we come home, kids are being assholes, hard day at work, you don't have to think about it. These are the bottles that we grab personally. So I don't know. What do you want to start with?
So we could start with one of mine here. This is a 1792 small batch. It's so to be full transparency with you, I tend to gravitate more towards the 100 to 110 proof. I'm more of that's just more pleasing to my palate. The 80 to 90 proof just tastes a little thin to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, once you get up above 110, tends to get a little hot for me, right? I know plenty of my friends who, you know, Josh, our neighbor, Dan, our neighbor, they like the huge ones, right?
Yeah, like the 120s, 130s.
Yeah, like barrel proof, straight out of the barrel, never cut.
That barrel, isn't that like 130?
Yeah, I think the barrel over there is 130. There's a 136 Jack over there, but they just tend to have that real high ethanol spice, right? Like that just isn't as pleasing to me. This is coming in, I think, 93%, if I'm looking at the bottle correctly.
Okay.
1792 is owned by Sazerac. It's a Buffalo Trace company, or same company that owns Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace is like it's like the Disney
Yeah.
of whiskey. I'm coming to find out.
Yeah, they are
Pappy.
have their hands in everything.
They have the Pappy. They got the regular Buffalo Trace, the 1792. You said the Weller over there.
Yeah, so the other one I brought is a Weller Green Label. The Buffalo Trace is also the Weller. So they have their hands in a lot of the bourbons. Initially off the nose here, you get a lot of that fruit kind of. I pick up a lot of, I don't know what it's like, stewed fruit, like really rich dark fruit to me on the nose. This isn't something that I normally just sit here and sip. Mm-hmm. This is more of like a cocktail bourbon for me.
Yeah, me too with mine. Not necessarily the Woodford here, but the Elijah Craig is amazing in mules.
Oh yeah,
Whiskey
I
mule.
could see that. Whiskey mule would be really good.
And actually whiskey sours too. The sweet and sour mixes really well with the Elijah Craig.
I mean, me, I love a good old fashioned. That's I can drink an old fashioned all day long. But
now, funny story about 1792. When I didn't know a lot about bourbon, I thought it was a gimmick. Like it was always like the $25, $29.99 bottle.
Yeah, it's not expensive.
No, but I always thought it was like the whiskey you gave to somebody when you didn't know much about whiskey. And I think did you get me the bottle for my 40th, the 1792?
No, for your 40th, I got you the.
You got me the rye.
Yeah, no, I got you. I have the Old Forester.
Oh yes,
yeah,
that's really good. Excuse me. No, it was actually my aunt, which makes sense because she knows nothing about whiskey.
See, yep.
But I've had a bottle and it's actually more complex than I actually thought. For a $30 bottle,
for a $29 bottle, this is about as good as you're going to get.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
You could get a bottle of Jack, or you could get this, and this is a lot more complex. And don't get me wrong, Jack has its place. I like a good Jack. I like Jim Beam.
No,
I
am anti-Jim. All right,
they have their places.
Shout out right now to my man Dallas Moore out of Ohio. I toured with him for like 2 or 3 years. That man lives in a bottle of Jim.
No kidding, huh?
So we would play, he would swing through Arizona and I'd go out and play on the road with him. But when we swing through Arizona, play a Roadrunner restaurant, a saloon up in New River. Small stage outside. They do bull riding, amateur bull riding. You play during the like the breaks and stuff.
So Dallas Moore's a country artist.
Oh yeah,
okay.
He's old school country.
Sounds like a country artist.
Oh dude, he is old school. He plays 300 shows a year. He hits the road hard. Check him out. He's on everything. He's got a new record out called The Rain. No, not The Rain. He has even a newer record out. No God in Juarez. It's a cover EP. And I can't think of the name of the artist right now. I'll probably fly it in later when I remember. But anyway, when we played the Roadrunner, they would always give him, it was either, oh God, I can't even remember the beer. Oh, well, Lone Star. He likes Lone Star beer, which is actually made by the same company that makes PBR. It's nothing to write home about. But I would have a makeshift cooler next to my drum kit. You either have Coors Light or whatever beer he was drinking, and 2 bottles of Jim sitting next to me. And I don't drink Jim. And literally every 2 or 3 songs, he would turn around, hand me his drink, and I just kind of pour it into it. And by the end of the show, 3, maybe 4 hours later, those bottles would be gone.
I wouldn't be able to stand up.
And it would be 70 to 75% him. And just as good as the beginning as he was at the end.
It's impressive.
It is impressive.
That is impressive.
Yes. That's good.
Yeah. Again, right? So they actually have a couple different varieties of 1792. They say they've got the single barrel.
Do they have a rye?
Huh?
Do they have a rye?
They have a rye, and they have a it's called a sweet wheat. Sweet wheat 1792. It's a wheated version, basically wheated version of this. So less rye spice, more sweetness, more caramel notes.
I have to find that.
It's not bad. They're a little harder to find. Obviously, this one you can find. You can find this pretty much anywhere.
I only just recently started seeing the rye.
Yeah.
Like the 1792 rye. So I didn't even know the sweet wheat existed. All right, and next up we got this Weller. Again, Trace, right? Buffalo Trace?
Yeah, again, Weller's Buffalo Trace product. This is the Weller Green Label. I might get a little bit of flack here from some bourbon people saying that this is harder to find. And that's true. The Green Label is a little bit more difficult to find, but it's not impossible. And really, if you're able to find it, it's a $30 to $40 bottle of bourbon.
Yeah, it's not bad.
The Weller makes a couple of other bourbons that I really, really enjoy, but are really difficult to get your hands on. So they have one called CYPB. It's got a white label. It's the same green or same bottle, same look, but it's white. Mm-hmm. It is very good. It's about a 90 proof, and it's just a little thin for me, but the flavors are phenomenal. Like really good. The flavors in this is a wheated bourbon, so this is going to give you that.
This smells lighter.
Yeah, it's
like right off the bat.
I think it's only an 80 proof. No, it's 90 proof.
Nice.
So it is going to be a little thin, but this is a very good sipping whiskey. You could sip this pretty well. But yeah, so the Weller has the CYPB, which is a pretty difficult bottle to get your hands on if you can get one. Phenomenal stuff. But the one that I like the most is the Antique, the 107.
Yeah.
Phenomenal stuff. I mean,
just like you said, I don't mean to interrupt. This is actually good sipping whiskey. I like this one.
Like for a $40 bottle, if you can put your hands on this, you could sip on this. You could put this in a cocktail if you really wanted to. I probably wouldn't waste it that way.
No, this is
this has good body. It's got good, it's got sweetness, got that caramel note, that vanilla.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. The caramel.
Yeah.
I like it, the caramel.
Yeah, it's very good.
Are you going to finish this one?
Yeah, I'm going to finish this one. Definitely.
Not the 1792. We're going to do well.
Don't get me wrong. I love the 1792, but
like
again,
said,
I don't usually drink it neat, right?
Right. It's not a sipper.
No.
My Woodford.
These are probably both sippers, I would say.
Not necessarily the Woodford.
No.
It really depends. I mean, you can be a sipper, but it could also go really well in cocktails. I get a lot of cocktails at restaurants with Woodford. Mm-hmm. Usually the double oaked Woodford is what I would use for like a Manhattan or a... Manhattan, old fashioned would work too.
Old fashioned with the double oaked is pretty good. It's going to get more of that wood flavor in there.
Yeah,
though.
It's woody.
Yeah. Got a little woody.
Yes, we're grown children.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, like I've just recently got Woodford has been my go-to for probably the last 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
It's just something
you can pick it up at Costco for cheap too.
I know you can get the big
the giant bottle.
Yeah, like the 175 liter. Mm-hmm, for like $40-$50.
Yeah, it's like looks exactly like that. It's just bigger.
It's just huge.
Yeah.
Yep. What?
Oh man, the grown children.
But I have the double oak at home. I got that at Costco too. The rye is really good. It's one of my more favorite ryes. It's just everything I've had through their entire line has been solid. I mean, for me, I don't even know. Yeah, you can find this at bars and stuff.
You can. I mean, my wife and I've kind of gotten away. I'm 40 now. I've gotten away from like going to an actual bar, right? Like,
I know it just hurts.
Yeah, it takes me 3 days to recover from getting really drunk now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But when my wife and I go out for a nice dinner, you can find Woodford at pretty much your nicer restaurants.
And you're right, most of the old fashions and the Manhattans do have Woodford. Now that I think about it,
it's a very good like higher end higher end well, right? Like,
yeah, it's like a $30, $35. I think I saw it at Fry's the other day for like $35.
yeah, but like in terms of like well, like
Yeah,
this would be like a
that'd be-
high end well
yeah.
for a nice restaurant.
What would be I haven't been to I've been to lots of bars. What would be a well whiskey? Like that you can remember?
Oh,
I know. You think about it. Like sometimes Jack is the well. Jameson,
sometimes Jim Jack, Jameson.
Yeah, some of those are the
But
well.
I mean, when I was in college, those were like
Evan Williams.
There it is.
There
Evan
it is.
Williams.
Sorry, Jesse. I know you. I know. We have a bunch of neighbors, and we all drink together. We do poker. Jesse's our neighbor down the block here, and he loves Evan Williams. And you know what? Evan Williams with a Diet Coke or Coke, it's really sweet for a whiskey, Evan Williams. So it goes great in a mixer. But it is probably the go-to quintessential well whiskey.
Yes.
100%.
Yep. You definitely don't want to try to drink it straight.
No. No.
Yeah.
No. Just no.
It's definitely going to have those acetone flavors in there for you.
But you can probably get a handle for about $20.
And probably cheaper than that.
Probably.
It's a plastic handle
hey,
too.
We're, inflation. Let's go 20
There you go. Yeah. Used to be.
I'm going to finish this Weller, get to my Woodford.
Yeah, I mean, the tasting notes on the Weller, if you get a chance to try it, it is a great $40 bottle that you can sit down, you can open up, you can have a couple friends over, you can enjoy it neat. It doesn't need a rock. It's real smooth, like really, really smooth. You're not going to get any burn on the back of the throat.
I was just about to mention that. It's like if you're worried about the whiskey burn that everybody doesn't like, this one, extremely light, very approachable for somebody who's not really into whiskey or looking to get into whiskey. It's very, very light on the palate.
Yeah.
It does not burn. Unlike that son of a bitch over there.
That tasted like we were drinking fire. I had heartburn. I had heartburn smelling it.
Dude, that was straight ethanol, man. That thing, but it still tasted like Jack.
It still tasted like Jack.
Yeah, we're pointing at that Jack. What was it?
It's a barrel proof. Yeah.
Yeah, we tried that. We were going over script stuff for this, and we opened it up, and it gave me nightmares, man. But even through the burn, the horrible smells, it still had that Jack taste.
Tastes like Jack.
It was so weird.
Moving on. What are we drinking next? Your two selections are up here. We're going to go to the Woodford.
My Woodford.
Let's do it.
I don't care if we mix.
This one's mine, so.
Yep.
Those are both yours.
Little Woody here on the tongue. And I'm dripping everywhere.
That's all right. It's just my work desk.
Yeah, it's a common problem when you get older. Woodford, man. This is good stuff. This is from Kentucky. Now, maybe you know this question. This says Woodford Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
Okay.
I've always known bourbon and whiskey to be distinguished from one another. It's the way you distill it, what you distill it through, and things like that. So when they call it a bourbon whiskey, what does that mean?
So from my understanding, right, bourbon has a very specific set of parameters that it has to meet in order for it to be called bourbon.
Bourbon, yeah.
All bourbon is whiskey.
All bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think it's just a label.
Just a label. Because I've been
It is a bourbon, right?
On the Elijah Craig here, same thing. It says Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
Yeah.
And just so you guys know, most of the good stuff comes from Kentucky.
At some point here, we'll probably break into some stuff that's not bourbon. It'll still be whiskey, but
it'll still be whiskey.
I have a nice affinity for Scotch.
See, okay, that like $500-$600 bottle of Scotch that Josh brought that one time.
Yeah.
It was Josh, wasn't it?
I brought the $300 bottle that you loved.
What was it called?
It was the 21-year-old. Sure, what was it? It was the one that has like a finish in rum barrels.
It wasn't a McKellen or a Glenlivet or
No,
anything. No.
I don't remember which one it was, but it was really good.
We need to get Milena on this podcast at some
Oh,
point. She loves the scotch.
she does love the scotch.
She'll talk forever, and you'll
She's
get
got great stories,
the best stories, the absolute best stories.
and she really opens up after about 2 drinks. So
Yeah.
like right about maybe
Now.
5 minutes from now,
Right about now,
the
she would be
podcast would
perfectly
really
fine.
start to pick up.
But fun. I think you know this. Jack, where they make Jack, is a dry county.
I did know that, yeah.
Yeah.
Lynchburg.
Lynchburg.
Yep.
You can't buy it.
You can gift it though.
You can gift it.
Yeah.
And it's actually used as a currency.
That's not surprising.
I've taken the tour a couple times. I used to live in Nashville. It's a short drive up to Lynchburg. And you take the tour. It's a really great tour. They go through the original barrel house. You get drunk off the smell. Now, I took the tour probably in 07, 08. And at the time, they paid about $16 to $20 million a month in taxes.
Whew.
Export, import, things like that. I'm sure it's doubled or tripled by now.
Yeah.
They have 10, 15 million barrel houses, and they have like 3 or 4 of them. It's ridiculous. But at the end, instead of, you go through the Coors tour up in Golden.
Oh yeah.
You get
Done
to try
it many
the Coors.
times.
Yeah, me too.
You get 3 full beers at the end of that tour.
I know, it's delicious.
amazing.
They used Red Dog. Was it Red Dog beer? They used to make that. Coors.
It's not Red Dog. It's a
No,
red.
what
It's
is
a
it?
red ale.
It is, but it used to be
Killian's Irish Red.
Killian. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. I used to love that beer, and I used to play gigs down in Maricopa at the Harris. They used to have it on tap.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it anyplace else forever.
I mean, it's a good beer.
It's
I used to love drinking Killian's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
I don't even know if they make it anymore.
I
I haven't
honestly
seen
don't.
it. I
No.
mean, I think I probably could get it in Colorado, but I haven't seen it here.
Yeah, probably. But on the Jack tour at the end, they make lemonade out of the spring water.
Oh, the like limestone water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the special creek that they do the
Yeah.
water from, but they make lemonade out of it, and it is the best lemonade. So good. But
you go on a tour and all I got was just lemonade.
Yeah,
I feel like
pretty
that's a
much.
shirt.
they should make that a shirt. They never. I don't remember that being in the gift shop.
It should be.
But so every month, now again, this is back a little while. I don't know if it's changed. Every month, on the first of the month, every Jack Daniel's employee, God, I haven't even taken a sip of my Woodford, gets a bottle, gets a fifth. So you can't sell it. You can't, drink it essentially. So, hey, my truck broke down. All right, cool. I'll be 2/5. It's used as a currency throughout the town. It's amazing what happens. Paint your house, fix your sink, fix your car. They just give you bottles.
Just pay in bourbon, huh?
Yeah, they pay in bourbon.
I like this.
It's awesome, and it's like 3,000, maybe 4,000 people. It's a small town.
So
And 90% of the people work at the distillery.
I heard that there was like a and this may or may not be true, I don't know, but that there was like an issue with the fumes like growing this like pink mold all over
Mold.
thing.
Yes, it was the steam
It's the steam.
hitting some of the certain trees, and it was growing a specific kind of mold that was very intrusive. And that's really all I know. I know that the townspeople weren't happy about it. I don't know like what the outcome was
Yeah.
really. But they use a specific kind of wood, and depending on the kind of Jack, like the gentleman's or the single barrel,
Sugar maple.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a special kind of one they get there in Lynchburg. I almost bought a single barrel. So at Costco, you can get, or they used to, single barrel. It was like 17,000, maybe $20,000. You get your own barrel. They bottle it up in the regular bottles, the single barrel, but it's all from the barrel.
It's like your barrel.
It's your barrel. The barrel that you own with your name on it is the stuff that it's like 3 cases. Lasts you a lot of lifetime.
Yeah.
But it's individually signed by the distiller master. I'm like, how, I'm not a big Jack fan, but how fucking cool is that?
Yeah, it'd be pretty sweet. Did you get to keep the barrel too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you get the barrel.
That's pretty cool. I'd turn it into a table or something.
You get a plaque on the top with your name individually signed by the distiller master. All the whiskey from that barrel is put into the bottles, and you get the bottles. I mean, it's a grip of cash, but I mean, you'll never have to buy another bottle of whiskey ever again.
Better like what was in that barrel, though.
Love single barrel.
I'm really liking this Woodford. It's in terms of comparisons, right, to the last 2 that we had. So the last 2 that we had are, again, those weeded bourbons, right?
Yeah.
This is more of a true bourbon.
Yes,
right?
This is Kentucky.
Yeah, this is
straight bourbon.
It's a little more oaky.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a little woody.
It is a little woody.
I'm going to say that so many times.
Yeah. It's still got those bourbon tasting notes, right? Like these ones were a little sweeter. This one's a little toned down on the sweetness, a little toned up on the oakiness, but predominantly a similar. You've got that deep like caramely vanilla. I'm picking up a lot of oak. There's that a tinge.
A lot of oak.
There's a tinge of that like rye spice on the finish. It's not overly powerful.
And this one's only 45% alcohol, 90.4 proof.
Yeah.
So it's pretty light. Not necessarily in your palate range, but
I'm picking up on the nose, I'm picking up like some orange peel that's like really pleasing. I really like the orange peel on the nose.
The nose is a bastard. It's very light in your face, but when you try it, it's got a little burn. Like it kind of sets you up a little in the opposite direction. It's like, oh, it's nice. It's very nice. Very nice. And then you hit it. It's like the note is light. The taste is a little heavier, but it's not too heavy. It is similar to the 1792 in terms of the finish.
Yeah, it's very smooth finishing. I would say out of all of them, though, the Weller's the smoothest finish. Like there was nothing on like.
No, and even when we get to the Elijah Craig, it's not going to be anywhere near the Weller in terms of finish.
But no, I could, again. I've drank it before. I put it in cocktails. I love it. A lot of this stuff, for those of you who like rye, like the rye spice, Chris is a rye guy.
Oh, I'm a huge rye.
I don't mind a rye, but I really like making cocktails with things that are huge rye. Like
rye
it shines through in cocktails.
The best.
Yeah.
Now, I've mentioned whiskey sours. Whiskey sours
with a rye
are the best with a rye.
So that rare breed rye sitting over on the shelf over there, that is really good in terms of like a rye, like
everyday rye.
Everyday. That's like it's not too pricey. What's your everyday rye?
Bullet.
Okay.
Bullet rye, man. Green label. It's $35, maybe 30 sometimes.
Bullet's good stuff.
Bullet is never misses. So, I mean, the rye. Daniel got me a rye, and I can't remember it. That was a high end rye, but for mixing,
was it the Rendezvous, the High West?
It might have been the High West.
That's what Sean sells.
It might have been the High West.
But it's really good.
It is.
Yeah.
Everything you guys got me for my 40th has been sampled, and will be sampled here on the podcast. But stay tuned. But the Bullet rye. It never misses. Every cocktail, every mule, every sour, you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, I like a good whiskey sour.
It's you get shit for it.
Yeah,
like you like whiskey sours? You're okay, but it's whiskey.
Yeah.
And most of the time, if you get close with your bartender, there's going to be a lot more whiskey in that as opposed to the sour,
the sweet
and sour.
again, this is the Bourbon Beats and Brews podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to veer off just a little bit here. You know what I've really been into lately? Negronis. And I can't answer why.
You know,
I don't particularly like gin. I don't particularly like vermouth. And I don't particularly like Campari. But for some reason, when you put them all in a glass, it's really good.
this is fucking hilarious. Okay. Aviation Gin,
Okay.
owned by Ryan Reynolds,
Interesting.
made in Portland.
That guy owns everything.
Everything. I think he sold it, you know, his stake, but
So
he still
that he can
does
buy
stuff.
Wrexham or what?
I probably. I mean, yeah, he's got billions of dollars in investments. So, one thing you'll learn about me if you listen to this off and on, I am a basic Scottsdale bitch. I love pumpkin spice. I make pumpkin spice lasagna. I make pumpkin spice egg rolls. Anything pumpkin spice, I will consume. So, and Ryan Reynolds is one of my favorite actors. He's hilarious.
You make pumpkin spice gin?
No.
Oh.
He did this whole thing about anti-pumpkin spice while making a Negroni with aviation gin. And it is hilarious. It's like, we're going to make a Negroni. Fuck pumpkin spice. Anyway, this is what you do. It's a whole thing. I mean, if you guys find it on the internet, please look it up. It's hilarious. But my wife showed it to me, and she's like, this is you. I'm like, well, no, I'm not Ryan Reynolds. I wish I was.
I mean,
In every aspect. Money. I mean, he's married to Blake Lively.
By all accounts, is actually a really good dude.
Yeah, from what I've heard. Actually, very cool dude.
Yeah.
Definitely somebody I'd love to have.
I would like to sit down and have a beer with him.
I would even drink gin with him.
Again, I don't know why. It's not like I go out of my way to drink gin.
I don't think I've ever had a Negroni.
It's earthy and like bitter. And for some reason, the combination of all of those weird sweet vermouth and gin flavors, it's
Just works.
good. It just works.
Now,
And maybe I'm getting old and my palate's died. So
a few years ago, I went to Amsterdam, and Amsterdam's kind of claim to fame
their gin
is gin.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, no offense to Ryan Reynolds, we do gin wrong. Every single drink, every single gin I had in Amsterdam was phenomenal.
Okay, so in what, like, describe for me the difference.
Lighter.
Okay, so less of that juniper spicy.
Yes. Have you ever had Hendrix?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that Hendrix is more cucumber based rather than juniper berry.
Yeah.
It's like that light.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if it's still based on juniper berries. Most of the drinks had juniper berries in them, just floating around. I don't know what it was.
Huh.
Half the time, I didn't understand what I was ordering. But every single thing that I had gin based in Amsterdam, we do it wrong. I don't know. I don't know what we do compared to what they do, but it is not right.
Interesting. I mean, we definitely, Americans, have more bold palates, I would say, than a lot of other countries, right? Like,
We have bold things, yes.
Yeah. Now we're going to
Elijah Craig.
This is going to be a little bit higher, 93, 93 and a half.
94, 47%.
Okay.
94 proof. Now, I mentioned this before. This is harder to find. I found this at a gig. It was on special. They made a drink with it. I don't know what it was, and I've been hooked ever since. But you go to a bar, you're probably not going to find it. You go to a restaurant that kind of does the whiskey.
Yeah.
You might actually find it. And they actually have a rye. They got 3 or 4 different versions of this. It is a little harsher.
Like the father of bourbons. The first to char their oak barrels. I didn't know that about Elijah Craig.
Says that right there on the thing, huh?
Yeah.
I can't read, so.
Everybody's got some gimmick they put on their bottles.
True.
It's about what's inside, not what you put on the bottle.
Bardstown, Kentucky. That's probably a really small town. You shouldn't drink this if you're pregnant.
Right off the bat, so I haven't tasted it yet. It smells heavier on the nose.
Yes, it's a lot heavy on the nose.
Whereas like the the Weller, the 1792, and even kind of the Woodford really had like they didn't punch you in the face on the nose. This one's really getting in there, opening up those nostrils for me a little bit. You know, it's interesting. So I was reading this this article from this guy who's like a professional bourbon taster, right? Like that's what he does. I don't know what those guys are called. They're not sommeliers, right? Those are the people
that do the wine. I think. Yeah. I mean, I'm probably but similar.
He's like he's got like a world-class palate, right? And you know, I was looking into like how can because I was reading these bourbon reviews, right? And it's like, oh, I'm picking up notes of charred tobacco and earthworms, and I'm like, how
earthworms?
No, I'm just but I'm like,
I taste
it's
ground worms
on the nose. I'm picking up honeysuckle, and I'm like, man, how right? And it was really interesting because I was trying to figure out like how do you develop your palate, right? Like how do you get it to be better? And basically the guy's advice was like, go out and live your life. Like, you'll never know what cardamom tastes like unless you go out and eat something with cardamom in it.
That's true.
He's like, you'll never know what it smells like unless you go somewhere where they're cooking with cardamom. So when you see it in a review that there's a cardamom smell, you might be smelling it. But unless you've experienced that in your life, you don't know
what it is.
You'll never know what it is. And he's like, the reason that I have such a good developed palate is because I've been around. I've been to a ton of places. He's like, I can smell things in bourbons that most people can't smell because I just like, I don't know why, but it's just go out there and live your life and you know, those experiences will help open up your palate. And it was kind of an interesting article because basically what I read was there's no real way to do it. You just got to live.
You just got to do it.
You just got to drink.
There's no real way to do it. You just got to drink heavily.
Kind of like the beer story from earlier, right? Like I wanted to like craft beer, so I drank a bunch of it, and now I like craft beer.
Buy a 48 pack. Put yourself in a small apartment. Don't leave, and just drink until you enjoy it.
You know, I was responsible about it ish. Responsible. My liver probably didn't like me.
I definitely see some meetings in your future if that's if that's your thing.
You know, hey.
Elijah.
All right, here we go. Okay. Elijah Craig coming down.
I always wondered if this Elijah Craig, is that the name like of the original distiller? I actually have no idea. I've looked it up. I cannot find why it's called Elijah Craig.
I mean, for the most part, most of these that's really good.
It's note-wise on the back end, it's literally halfway between the Woodford and the Weller.
Yeah.
It doesn't...
There's no burn. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's not on the back of my throat.
No, it's on the tip. It starts up front.
Yeah.
Where the Weller doesn't do anything at all. And the
Woodford's a little back.
Yep.
This is it's there, but it's not, I like that. I like that a lot. And it's not thin for me, which normally this...
And even though it's a 94, it doesn't seem thin. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's not thin for me. It's got like a good... It helps coat your palate. You get a good, you know... It's kind of hard to describe, but it coats your mouth, right? And it stays there. It lingers. The flavor lingers.
Yeah, this one definitely lingers.
When you get the thin ones, it goes and then it's gone.
It's gone.
There's nothing left. Mm-hmm. And you get the really high proof ones, and you can't get it out of your mouth, right?
No, I still taste that Jack Daniels right over there.
If I opened it, you would probably run in the bathroom and throw up. But
I just leave.
Yeah, just get out of here.
Just hit stop and that's it. No more.
Podcast over. But yeah, sorry for my midstream interruption, but it's just sat there for a second, and this is very tasty. I could drink a lot of this.
And as you can see, this is my personal bottle. It is almost gone.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I enjoy this quite often. I have a 3 and a 6-year-old. I like my whiskey.
What did that run you on the front end? Like
This
60?
is about. Now I've found it at Costco for $45.
Okay, so like a Bevmo, it's probably gonna be 55, 55.
It's probably 50-55. Yeah,
Okay.
if you find it at a Bevmo or stuff like that. It is a little bit more, and like I said, it's not harder to find necessarily at the the Bevmos and the Total Wines and the liquor stores. But if you come across any kind of cocktail or concoction at a bar or any kind of establishment, try it, because it's probably going to be really good. This one mixes into stuff really, really, really well.
Yeah, this is a very, like, if I was to give it it's a well-rounded. Like, so it's not leaning any particular direction. It's not overly sweet. It's not overly spicy. It's not overly hot. But it has some elements of all of those things mixed within it, right? So it has some sweetness, it has some spiciness, it has some heat, but all of those things balance out really well to make a well-rounded sipping bourbon. This is a good one. I know they make single barrel. I've had the single barrel, which I really liked, the Elijah Craig single barrel. They make a barrel proof, which was
I've never had that.
Yeah, they make it's hard to get your hands on, and I've had it a few times, and it's, for a foolproof bourbon, it is very good.
Now, for those who don't know, when we say barrel proof,
Yes. Barrel proof means it came straight out of the barrel and into the bottle. Generally speaking, it's going to be somewhere between 125 to 135
35,
proof.
36, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood. So most bourbons are cut, right? They're cut with water.
Yep.
To bring it down to a
consumable level.
Yeah, consumable level, right? Because most people don't have the palate for, that.
135 every day.
It is, if you are not used to it and you're not a regular consumer of bourbon, or somebody who has grown a taste for that, it is going to be very harsh for you. I would not recommend, if you're new to the scene, to go out and buy a barrel proof and start drinking it. You will not like it.
No.
It will not go well.
It will
for you.
turn you off 100%. You will never come back. You will never drink another whiskey or bourbon ever again.
This Elijah Craig, I would say, if you're looking to try bourbon, start sipping bourbon, drinking it neat. So neat essentially is just
straight. Out of the bottle into the glass, not cold.
Yeah.
Just neat, straight.
Yeah, neat is neat, right? It's just poured. These are called Glencairn glasses, for those of you who can see. This is a Glencairn glass. This is the best glass for drinking bourbon. These are not very expensive. If you're going to try to get into it and drink bourbon regularly, I do strongly recommend, you get a set of these. It kind of, the shape of it, I don't know what it is. The shape of it helps accentuate the nose.
Very fancy.
Yeah, they're what people who drink bourbon use.
Yeah.
So,
you can do a highball if you want, but
yeah.
this is more sophisticated.
Yeah, and but yeah, this if you were looking to get into the game, this would be a great place for you to start.
Yep.
It's a $50 bottle. You could go out, sip on it here, sip on it there, kind of develop that taste for it. I don't think it's going to be too harsh for you at the beginning. That Weller, if you could get your hands on that Weller, Weller's a starter bourbon.
If you're worried about the burn, definitely go for the Weller. If you want to try something that's a little bit more full-bodied, I'd go towards the Elijah. A little sweeter, a little wheat.
Yeah.
1792.
The wheated 1792, if you can get your hands on it. We don't have it here today, but if you can get your hands on it, that's a good sweet bourbon that could probably be a good starter bourbon for you.
And the Woodford, it's Woodford. It's awesome.
Yeah. So I think from here, we're going to transition. We've gone liquor. Let's take it to my realm, my neck of the woods. Beer. And then we'll finish it off with a little music.
We're going to be featuring this kind of hops right here. But y'all never seen hops before, huh?
So these are called pellet hops. And these are Cascade hops. So Cascade hops are going to be the quintessential American hop, right? Like, this hop kind of launched the craft beer revolution.
When would you say the craft beer revolution started?
Oh, man. I don't even know. It was probably before my time, right? Like
Probably.
80s, 70s. I know that Sierra Nevada started in the 80s.
Oh, yeah?
So I would say that's probably a pretty good place. This hop essentially defined the American Pale Ale,
Oh, yeah?
right? Like this hop is synonymous with an American Pale Ale. It is the Cascade hop is named because of the Cascade Mountain Range.
Cascade Mountains. Makes sense.
Came from the Northwest. This is it's a finishing hop, right? You don't really use Cascade hops to bitter a beer.
Yeah.
For those of you who have never made a beer or don't know anything about making beer, the process is relatively simple and also very complex, right? You are, in a nutshell, you are taking grains, you're steeping those grains in water to extract sugar from them. Then you boil that water, and when you're boiling the water, you add in hops. When you add them in at the beginning of the boil, that's called a bittering hop. Okay. When you add them in at the end of the boil, it's called a finishing hop. You're going to get different flavor profiles depending on how long you boil those hops for. These are called pellet hops. They're basically hop material which has been compressed into a Traeger-like pellet. Mm-hmm. These smell... I mean, they smell like a Sierra Nevada. Which
is exactly what I'm drinking right now. Sierra Nevada, what we got? Pale Ale?
Yeah, it's a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Right here.
And similar to the story I told you earlier, this is the beer that was always around when I was growing up.
This is your 48 pack.
Yeah, this is my 48 pack beer. This beer has a special place in my heart. And
special place on your palate.
Yeah.
Now, I've never, like I just, I told you a little while ago, off camera, I tried the Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest. It is that time of year.
Yeah.
Oktoberfest is one of my favorite beers, and I was not a fan. Oktoberfest should be full body. It should be caramel forward. It just should be tasty.
Yeah.
And it was so disappointing.
I see a lot of Oktoberfests that try to really emphasize hop notes,
and you shouldn't.
And it is not that beer is to celebrate.
It's a Marzen.
Yeah, it is to celebrate the grain.
It's the opposite of harps. Yep, hops.
Yeah,
and yeah, I was reading up on it, and I was like, oh, it was on special, $6.99 for like a 6-pack. I'm like, I'm down for anything at $6.99. That's a 6-pack. I would not recommend. Nope, would not recommend. As we were just conferring, Sam Adams Oktoberfest cannot go wrong.
No. You aptly you said it to me. It's the Coors Light of the Coors Light of Marzens.
Yeah, it really is. Like if you want to start with an Oktoberfest, that is a great middle ground to start.
Yeah,
you can go into the Wursteiser, the
Hofbrauhaus. Yeah. Polliner's like kind of the traditional Munich,
Fun fact, Oktoberfest is in September.
That is so. From my understanding, like there's a couple different stories about Oktoberfest, and I don't know which one of them's right or which one's wrong. But I do believe it was originally brewed for a prince's wedding, like a German prince's wedding.
I don't know the original reason, but I know that the harvest was in March. And they always started brewing in March to be ready for the festivals in the fall.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know like why they started doing that. Like if it was for a prince, I would make sense. If it's from Europe, some kind of
well, it's a lager, right? So lagers traditionally take a lot longer than ales to make, right? So lager yeasts ferment at the top, I believe. Ale yeast ferment at the bottom. Either that or it's backwards. I don't remember. One way or the other. I'd have to reread my notes. But long story short, they take a lot longer. So a lager yeast has to be cold. Like when it ferments, it's got to be in a cold temperature. So back to your point, they didn't have refrigeration back then.
Right.
So they fermented them in caves and barrels, right? And it had to be cold. So, deep, dark caves. And they would put them in there, and they would leave them in there until it was time for the celebration. And then, they would pull the beer out.
Right.
It's interesting because, like, you've been to Europe, right?
Several times.
And a lot of those European beers are very low on the carbonation factor.
So good.
Yeah, American beers are really carbonated. Like we love our carbonation beer in here in America in our beer.
Soda.
Yeah, it's
We love our soda. We love our carbonation. Carbonation makes it way into the beers.
yeah, but like the your traditional like dark, deep, rich beers aren't very carbonated.
No, they're really not. I think that's probably why I prefer them. Like if you drink Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light, they're sugary up the ass.
Well,
and they're going to give you the worst hangover ever.
They're not brewed. So I don't know about
No,
Miller
they're not.
Lite. I don't know about Miller Lite, but I know for a fact that Bud Light uses rice syrup in their beer.
Yes. Yes, they do.
That is essentially like fermenting sugar. Like it's essentially a seltzer at that point, right? It's a hop flavored seltzer.
That's true.
You know, I can't imagine it's good for the hangover factor.
No.
You know, it does make like, listen, if it's a hot day and you got a Coors Light in your hand, it's not bad, man.
No,
I love a good Coors Light on
a hot
golf
day.
course when you're, you know.
We're in Arizona,
Yeah.
115 in July. Do you grab a
I'm not
Coors
drinking
Light?
IPAs, man.
No. I'm not drinking porters. I'm not
No.
drinking anything but like Coors Light.
But yeah, this is so tasting notes, right? This Sierra Nevada is purely finished with Cascade hops. They're not used for bittering. It would be a really waste of a very good hop to use a Cascade hop for bittering, but it is finished entirely with Cascade hops. And they actually use whole cone hops instead of these pellets. Now, for those of you who like to partake in things that maybe aren't, beer related, whole cone hops look an awful lot like a marijuana bud. And by an awful lot, I'm going to tell you a story. So my buddy,
it's a good story.
In Colorado, he grows hops in his backyard. He has a bunch of hop vines.
I thought you were going to say something completely different.
No?
My buddy
hops.
in Colorado
Yeah,
grows.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he grows that too, but he grows hops. And he knows I'm a brewer, so he called me one day. He's like, "Hey, man, I got a ton of Cascade hops. Just came out. I dried them, and I can give you a couple, bags full." So I drive over to his house, and he gives me 5 giant gallon-sized Ziploc bags full of whole cone hops. And again, whole cone hops don't necessarily look that innocuous if you're a police officer. So I'm driving back home, and I happen to be speeding slightly, and I got pulled over. And the first question the cop asked me when I rolled down my window was, "What's on the passenger seat?"
What are those?
And it's like, well, so those are hops. And the look on his face was like, dude, I know that they're not hops, right? Like, these are not hops. And I was like,
you're trying to get out of this ticket.
Yeah. I'm like, I know what it looks like. It's not weed. They're hops. Like, I can open it up. And if you smell them, it's not weed, right? They smell.
Oh, completely different. Completely different.
These smell like pine, and there's a grapefruit note to it, not like a skunk. So,
No, it does not smell like the weed.
But yeah, so I was able to avoid a distribution ticket for my hops. So that was a fun portion of that story. But yes, whole cone hops are fantastic. So there's like this, hops get this like powder.
Is there like a flavor profile difference between the hop cone and then the pellet hops we got here?
Not necessarily. Mm-hmm. They just have more freshness to them.
Okay.
They're typically, these are compressed, freeze dried, right? Like they're good, right? Like they're great.
No, that cup of hops smells exactly like this cup of beer.
Yeah.
Like if we weren't drinking Sierra Nevada and you put those hops in front of me and I smelled it and I'm like, this smells like in Sierra Nevada.
Exactly.
Like 100%. And I'm not a big Sierra Nevada fan. Like it just in general, I haven't had a lot of beer of theirs. It's, in my opinion, very good. But this regular pale ale, I know the scent. I know the flavor. Those hops 100%. You can't mistake it for anything else.
Nope. That's pine and grapefruit.
Pine and grapefruit.
That is the flavor.
I hate grapefruit.
Interesting. Really?
When it comes to beer, whiskey, notes of alcohol, it's fine.
Yeah.
But
I don't eat grapefruit.
No. My
Absolutely
my
not.
wife could eat it with a spoon. Oh, she loves the grapefruit.
People put sugar on it inside. It's just
It's ridiculous. No.
I don't mind it in beer.
No.
No.
It actually makes a pretty good beer.
Yeah. Now there's some grapefruit beers out there that I am not fond of, that like maybe put grapefruit juice in the beer or something. I don't.
Yeah, sometimes
It's too much for me.
it's 50-50 for me. Like if there's other notes that are hitting at the same level of the grapefruit, but if it's too grapefruit forward, no, just no, not at all.
But if you're not into craft beer, or you haven't ever been into craft beer, this isn't a bad place to start. It's a little bitter, right? It's going to be a traditional pale ale. You might want to start with a blonde, right?
If you're new to beer, you need to start with a blonde.
Yeah.
They're even, I mean, even when you talk about Coors Light, Bud Light, Miller Lite, all the domestics, you know, a blonde sometimes is even lighter than those in terms of flavor profiles.
Yeah.
Coors Light, all those things, they have their place. But you find a good blonde, you're going to, sometimes you get, actually, where we had my 40th, Front Porch.
Oh, yeah, Front Porch.
They had like a cherry lime blonde.
Yeah.
Ridiculously good. Full flavored.
Yeah.
And
a good intro to craft beer.
Yeah.
Without like, listen, if you told me, hey, I'm not really big into craft beer, where could I start? I'm not going to send you to like a triple IPA, right? Or like a Belgian triple.
oh
like,
God,
Tripel.
yeah, Tripel.
Like, we are going to explore some beer on here.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a stockpile of aged beers that Chris has seen some of them.
They're delicious.
I've got some Bourbon County stuff. I've got some 15-16% beers that we're going to pop open. We're going to go down the Belgian path. We're going to go all over the place here.
And we're going to go to Europe and we're going to get drunk.
Yeah.
I love European
We may
beer.
shoot a podcast from Munich one day.
Oh.
You never know. But
And get lost because we'd be too drunk. We would, where's my laptop?
who knows?
Who knows?
But, if you want to step into the realm of craft beer, I'm going to throw a name out there that I think pretty much everybody, if you're in the Southwest area, Big Blue Van. All right?
So good.
It's by College Station.
Yep.
It is a...
It's Flagstaff, right?
Lake Havasu, I want to say.
Is it Havasu? I thought it was Flagstaff.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a vanilla blueberry wheat ale.
Ridiculously
good. And it is smooth. It is not bitter. It's got like, sometimes they add lactose to beer, which kind of gives it that like milky creaminess.
Yeah.
This has that. Like it's creamy. It is vanilla-y. It is all the things. Like, go try one of those. Give us a shout. Drop us a line. Let us know if you like it. If you're just jumping into craft beers. Now, with that being said, we're also going to go down the IPA path because Chris knows I'm a hazy IPA fanatic. Love hazy IPAs. I mean, I've had every big name out there. Heady Topper, The Alchemist. I've had Moxa. I've had Weldworks. You name it. If it's a big name in the IPA, get Treehouse, right? I've probably tried it. And I probably loved it. In addition to that, you're probably going to get a hazy IPA out of me here soon.
Yes, you're going to start brewing yours next week.
So I think next weekend I'm going to brew up one of my own hazy IPAs. We'll throw it in the competition around here.
That's a double hazy IPA.
It is a double hazy IPA. It is brewed with Citra, Mosaic, and Eldorado hops. It is triple dry hopped, and it is double. So it's a double, meaning it's double, like... It's going to be ring in about 8 to 9%, depending on what my brew house percentage on the grains is. I have had some phenomenal batches of this, to the point where some of my real beerhead buddies have said that it can measure up against some of the best ones out there. It is my favorite batch that I've brewed. I've brewed it probably 50 or 60 times, and that's a lot of beer. And I give it away, and beer. People love it. So we're gonna go.
We'll be drinking that.
Yeah, we'll add it in the mix. We'll add it to the thing. We'll see what happens here. But
now, full disclosure, I do not like IPAs.
That's not accurate.
No. You didn't give me a chance to finish.
All right, finish.
I don't like IPAs. Straight IPAs, I'm not really that big of a fan. Every now and then I'll find one that's okay. Actually, if I had to do an IPA, it would be from Deschutes. It would be fresh squeezed. Just a straight...
Not an IPA. It's a hazy IPA. They're different.
No, fresh squeezed is not a hazy IPA.
I swear it's a hazy IPA.
Nope. No, it's a straight IPA. Okay. They have hazies, but that is not one. I did not discover hazy IPAs until later.
You like those?
I do.
Yeah.
Some of them, I'd say about 70% of them I do like. Every now and then I'll find one that's a little too hop forward. I'm not a big on the hypes. Even this pale ale right here, I can taste the hops. I'm not.
Is that the Racer 5?
Nope. This is still the Sierra Nevada.
Sierra Nevada.
Yep. I can taste the hops, but they're not throwing me off. I know what it is. It's a Sierra Nevada. I think that's why I gravitate towards the darker stuff, because it's more caramel, it's more full flavored, it's more.
I like those too.
Yeah, but like, oh, do you want this IPA? No, I don't. I want that over there. That's not an IPA. But the hazies, because they're more citrus, they're a little more fruit. Yeah, I'll definitely do them. Voodoo Ranger, Juicy Jack.
Juicy Jacks, yeah, okay.
That's a go-to if I had to.
They make a thing called Fly Jack. It's got like 90 calories. It's like a 90-calorie IPA.
They make one that's fruit punch.
Yeah, the Fruit Force. It's literally fruit punch.
That is delicious.
It tastes like fruit punch.
It does. It tastes like fruit punch. IPA fruit punch. You're like, ooh.
Yeah, it's danger too, because it's like 10% alcohol.
No, yeah, it's ridiculous, and it doesn't taste like it.
No, you can drink a lot of them. It could definitely lead to it.
You can get those at our Fry's here. They do like 2 for $7, like the 24-ounce cans. They have those. That is a weekend.
Yeah,
right there. That is a Friday night. You will feel it all the way till Monday.
Yes, you will. Yeah, I mean, so like
you're kind of slacking there on that.
I am a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I know you like church music, right?
Yes.
I believe that's a hazy.
I actually don't know.
I don't know either.
No, but whether it's a hazy or a straight IPA, yes, I like the church music.
Yeah. So, you know, I think you gravitate more towards the citra,
100%.
The citrusy side of
100%. If the IPA is like more citrus forward, just a straight IPA, if it's more citrus forward, I'll probably like it. Okay. I know the hazies are always there.
That's kind of the style.
That's kind of the style.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why I like fresh squeeze from Deschutes. It is fresh squeezed, obviously. You know, it's more orange. It has that citrusy flavor.
It's very citrus forward. It's a great IPA,
and it's also very hoppy.
Yeah.
And for me, that's not a thing. Like, I could do maybe 2 or 3 of those, like 2 or 3 bottles, before I'm like, I got to do something else. But that's where my wife's from. I got to support Deschutes.
Dude, man, Oregon's kind of like Colorado, man.
I think Oregon's
throw a rock in any direction, you're gonna hit.
I think Oregon's only second to like Denver, Colorado, like in terms of craft brews,
like Bend.
No,
from my understanding, there's like a brewery every 10 feet or something like that. It's ridiculous, but
no, some of the best Deschutes, I mean, is good. There's Full Sail. Oh God, I can't even think of any.
Yeah, there's so many.
Like, name every beer in Oregon. Yeah, blank. There's too many. Like I said earlier, Aviation Gin. It's from Portland.
Yeah. My dad is a big fan of Black Butte Porter. Don't know if you've ever had it.
I have. I'm not a big fan of it.
My dad's a big fan of it. So I've had a fair amount of it, right? I like my dark beers a little sweeter.
That's why I think I like the porters with the vanilla vodka.
Yeah.
Because it adds that sweetness.
It adds
to
that touch, right? Don't get me wrong, like a coffee stout I'm down for, right? But like there's some breakfast stouts out there with like maple and like
You have to have you ever had a breakfast shot?
breakfast shot? What's
a breakfast shot? Okay. Don't quote me on this, people who have had them before. My first one was in San Diego, some bar down by the pier. It's whiskey, butterscotch schnapps, orange juice with a piece of bacon.
I don't know how I feel about this.
It tastes...
Okay. I mean, I'll try it.
I can't explain. I've had it a couple different places. I just don't know. The whiskey is just an everyday whiskey. The butterscotch, like you taste it, like you kind of shoot it. So you get a shot of orange juice.
You don't mix it.
No.
Okay.
Shot of orange juice, shot of butterscotch schnapps, shot of whiskey. Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
And then you taste the bacon.
Okay. And you just finish it with the bacon?
Yeah, you finish it with the bacon.
Bacon kind of coats it all out.
It tastes like a half stack of pancakes with a side of eggs and bacon.
I think the pancakes probably come from the butterscotch, right?
Right, the butterscotch schnapps, but then you get the salt from the bacon, you get the acidity from the orange. Huh. The whiskey just kind of adds that whiskey flavor.
Yeah.
It's, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
Accurate.
But it is
facts.
An actual great way at 9 a.m. to start drinking.
Yeah. I mean, there's no bad time to start drinking, I will admit. But there are some stout beers, like Kentucky Breakfast Stout comes to mind.
Never heard of that.
It's called KBS. It's literally... So some of them are coffee. Like there's a bunch of different breakfast beers out there. Mm-hmm. There's beers that taste like pancakes, man. Oh. Literally taste like maple syrup pancakes.
I want them all.
Yes. And I discovered, once I started loving beer, it's like you go out for brunch and, my wife's drinking mimosas, having a good time. I can't drink a beer at 8 a.m. I can't bust open a, IPA. It's too early at 8 a.m.
We should stop shaming people for having beers at 8 a.m.
I agree.
Because if you can have a mimosa or a Greyhound.
Bloody Mary?
Bloody Mary.
It's nasty, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not a big Bloody Mary fan. But this is straight... Michelada?
It's beer, I guess.
That's beer. Yeah, it's beer and tomato. But if you can have those at a brunch, don't look down on me for having a Coors Light.
It's probably less alcohol.
It's 100% less alcohol.
Yeah,
if you're drinking champagne and vodka, and Greyhounds, it's grapefruit juice and vodka. Yeah, that's my wife's one of my favorite, and a salty dog, salt rim.
Paloma's grapefruit juice and tequila, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's stop.
Yeah, stop shaming people.
Yeah, if I have a wife, or you're in a family function, you go to brunch on a Sunday morning, everybody's doing Bloody Marys, mimosas. You know what? I don't like that stuff. Give me Coors Light.
I mean, don't get mad at me for drinking a, Johnny on the rocks at...
Well, if you see Johnny on the rocks,
I'm just joking.
You might have a problem. It depends. Is it Black Label, Blue Label?
Oh, dude, we don't drink anything less than blue.
Okay, good. Yeah. Then that's good. All right, what's this next?
So this next is Bear Republic.
Yep.
It's called Racer 5. This is a
Never
standard.
had this before.
It's out of California.
Yeah.
Again, I brought you to California. Well, this Sierra Nevada possibly could have been made in North Carolina.
It's actually made. I was actually looking at the label. Chico.
Chico, California.
Chico, California, and Mills River, North Carolina.
Yeah. So they have two breweries, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I would unlikely imagine we got this one from Chico. It's where the original one is.
I
We're
would
on the West
imagine
Coast.
so. Yeah.
But this is also a California beer. It's called Racer 5. It's a pretty traditional IPA. It's got a couple different hop varieties in it, but it is going to feature that Cascade in there as well.
So it does say Indian Pale Ale. So this
Yep.
is an IPA.
This is a traditional IPA.
7.5. Ooh, this
yeah.
one's a little Cloverdale.
Yeah, Cloverdale, California, I want to say.
Nice.
Again, I was trying to feature a couple beers for you that are going to showcase that Cascade hop.
I'm very interested to see, like I said, I smell that hop. I smell Sierra Nevada.
Yeah.
Like 100%. I'm very interested to see.
Yeah, clear that palate out a little bit. And then give it a little sample, like let it sit on the palate for a second.
It's lighter in color.
Yeah, so
than the Sierra.
That a lot of that comes from the grain bill, right? So
that has a different note.
Yeah. Again, so this has a couple different hop varieties in it, but you're gonna see a lot of that Cascade-y flavor in there.
I can taste the Cascade. Yeah, it's as opposed to the Sierra Nevada, where it's like, it's Cascade, 100%. Yeah. This is definitely more complex.
Yes.
Like you said, there's more hops, or
there's different varieties
kinds of
hops.
Yeah, that's extremely apparent. I don't think we've been around since 95. That's cool.
Yeah, this is I
love this. This is the perfect label. This label says, keep cold, drink fresh, serve at 45 to 50 degrees. I have never in my life seen a beer label that says that.
It should.
It should.
Beers, like, listen, okay. There are beers that can be served at room temperature. Those beers.
Should they, though?
Those beers are going to be dark beers, and they're not going to be super carbonated. A light, citrusy, or like even a Coors Light, you got to serve that really cold.
Cold. My former father-in-law drank Michelob Ultra at room temperature.
I couldn't do it.
Any beer like that's less than freezing, it's really hard for me to drink. And one of my favorite beers is Shiner Bock.
You can drink that at room temperature.
That's why I enjoy it. I picked up one it was an old one, and it's like whatever, and I drank it. It still has the same flavor profile as it was with cold. It's one of the only beers that I've ever experienced that actually being true. Where everything else is warm, you lose everything about the beer.
Yeah. Fun Shiner Bock story for you. So I'd never had Shiner Bock before in my life.
Yeah.
And I went to basic training in Goodfellow, or Lackland Air Force Base, which is in San Antonio, Texas, right? And I spent, I don't remember what it was, 6-8 weeks, whatever, marching around, doing
Army stuff,
Air Force stuff, and I get sent to tech school, and I was a firefighter, crash fire rescue, and they sent us to technical school in Goodfellow Air Force Base, which is in San Angelo, Texas.
Yeah,
there's nothing going on in San Angelo, Texas.
Nope.
So first day, get off the bus, I'm so used to being yelled at. I've been yelled at for 8 weeks, right? Like, I'm so used to like being told to brush my teeth, being told to stand in a line, being told to do all this. I get off the bus and they're like, all right, well, there's the barracks. Like, go put your stuff. You're in room number blah, blah, blah. And then class starts on Monday. I'm like, well, it's Saturday. They're like, yeah, figure it out.
Do it.
So I'm like, all right, great, right? So me and a couple of the guys, I was 22. I was probably the oldest person, right?
Jeez. 22.
Yeah. Most of the guys were younger, but me and 3 of the other guys that were over 21, we went to the bowling alley on base, right?
And what do you do when you bowl?
$1 bowling games. And what do you do when you bowl? Well, shoot. If you're in Texas and you're bowling, I'll tell you what you're doing. You're drinking Shiner Bock.
Shiner Bock.
First time I ever had a Shiner Bock, and I drank that bad boy, and it's got like this nuttiness. Like it's got that traditional Bock flavor.
In my opinion, it is the perfect beer.
Yeah, it is Shiner makes a lot of different things.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before. Shiner is as diverse as
Sam Adams. Yeah.
Sam Adams.
Sam Adams, yeah.
You get a Sam Adams every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You get the Oktoberfest, and you get the cold
cherry
snap.
wheat, like
Yeah, the cherry wheat. You get the summer ale. You get the winter ale.
I like the winter ale.
Oh, the winter ale is great. Cold snap is shit.
Yeah, I do not like cold snap.
I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, the winter ale is very good.
No, the winter ale is. I'll drink the winter ale all the time. But Shiner, they have a grapefruit. They have a black label German. They have a blonde. They have a light blonde. They have and then everything in between. They have an Oktoberfest.
I've never tried it, but I would like to.
I was just on their website the other day. They just released a Mexican lager.
Okay.
They have a double hazy IPA they just released. It's crazy how much stuff. But here in Arizona, we get the Shiner, maybe the blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you go to Texas, you get everything.
Yeah. But yeah, so long story short, I go first ever Shiner, right? I don't know what came over me that day. I bowled like a 250. I was literally like, I'm not a good bowler. I'm not even an okay bowler. I'm not
I just bowl.
Yeah, I'm just out there rolling the ball down the lane. I think I made the first 7 balls I rolled were strikes. Like, I don't know how.
Were you on the Shiner?
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, ever since then, like me and Shiner, I love a good Shiner. It's if you have never tried Shiner, Shiner's actually a pretty good intro to craft beer as well.
Not only to craft beer, but to dark.
Yeah, to dark beer.
To darker beer.
Yeah.
It is a bock. You don't get most of your mainstream beer.
It's not really hop forward.
No. It's not hop forward
malty
at all. It's very malty. But a bock is kind of your gateway into your ambers, which can be a little bit more flavorful.
Ambers can be hoppier.
Yes, can be hoppier, can be a little bitter.
Your browns are going to be less hoppy, more.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but that bock is kind of that sweet spot.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of gravitated towards it first, because it was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
It's not too light. It's not too dark. It's perfect.
I know you have a big affinity for the Oak Creek Nut Brown.
That is my number one.
Yeah.
Nut Brown.
I mean,
it's also my number one amber, the Oak Creek Amber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2 amber would be Alaska.
Okay. So I actually think Alaska Amber is a steam beer, but I'm not going to get into that. Alaska Amber, so I play a lot of hockey. You know that, right?
Yep.
When I was in Colorado, I played a lot of hockey. I played 3-4 nights a week. And I used to play at the same rink where the Avalanche practice.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we would play a game and you could go upstairs and you could watch the Avs practice. But they served Alaskan Amber on tap, and I don't know what they were serving, but it was the best Alaskan Amber I've ever had. Like,
so good.
I don't know if it was more carbonated or colder or what they were serving there, but man, that was the best Alaskan Amber I've ever had. And I love malty beers. I love hoppy beer. I love beer. I'm an alcoholic.
We just love beer. Alcoholics go to meetings.
Yeah, I don't go to meetings.
Exactly.
I talk about it. I talk about my problems with everybody else.
Who needs to go to meetings when you got friends that drink the same beer?
Exactly.
We can all talk about our shitty kids.
Oh, man, kids.
No.
I also coach soccer with a bunch of kids.
Oh, yeah. I know. You coached my kid.
I did coach
last
your kid,
time.
yeah.
I graced you without his presence this season. Are you coaching this season?
So your kid's only 6, right?
Harrison just turned 6. Yeah.
Yeah. So I coached 7-8 this year because Ben's 7. So.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
You won't see him.
Not for another year.
You still won't see him.
No? He's not going to play soccer anymore?
No, he'll play soccer, but I'm trying to get him to do football.
Okay.
I don't know. This racer is pretty good.
So
even though it's an IPA technically.
So I know your palate, right? Like I know your likes and your dislikes, right? I know going into this that you're not a big IPA fan, right? Like if I'd have poured you a Stone IPA, you probably wouldn't have drank it.
Depends what it is. I actually like Stone.
Stone IPA.
Yeah.
Like the traditional Stone IPA you like?
I actually do like the traditional Stone IPA.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's a very hop forward beer.
It is. But for some reason it doesn't bother me.
Interesting.
I've been to the Stone Brewery in California. I had a bunch of different stuff there. Their hazies actually ridiculously good.
I'm sure it is.
But
they make great beer.
They do.
The only thing I can't drink is Arrogant Bastard.
I don't know if I've had that.
Yeah, it tastes like drinking a tire.
I won't try that.
Yeah, I did not enjoy
Drinking
it.
a tire does not sound fun.
I did not enjoy it whatsoever.
No, that doesn't sound fun whatsoever.
But, for some people, that's their palate type, right?
That's true. Like my wife, IPA.
Like hard
double
IPA.
triples. I have a theory, and she does not agree with me on this. She doesn't agree with me on a lot of things.
That's accurate.
It is. It's extremely accurate. She douses everything in Tabasco.
She's killed her palate.
She drinks double, triple IPAs. She has no taste buds left.
It's possible.
So she does not know what good things taste like.
This was fun.
And we still need to talk about music. And I have something fun.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to drink this beer while we listen to your music.
Well, we're not going to listen to music. We're going to do this. So, out of all the drinks that we've had, the beer, the bourbon,
yeah,
I'm going to give you a genre of music, and you're going to tell me what drink would go with that genre of music.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to start with pop, top 40, that kind of crap. What do you think would go best with that? Or what we've had tonight?
Man. Maybe the 1792.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I would actually lean more towards the Weller.
Well, the Weller's smooth. I would go with jazz for the Weller.
But in terms of everyday kind of pop, top 40.
Okay. I could see it.
I could see the Weller. I could see the 792 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not a thing. Okay. So if you were listening to...
I was just saying the 1792 because it's like, and this is going to sound pretty rude, right? But like, it's forgettable. Kind of like pop is forgettable. You hear it, you kind of move on with your life.
It all sounds the same.
1792, like it's good. It's definitely drinkable. I mix it in things. I like it, but it's not like rememberable.
Yeah, that is agreeable. I agree with that for sure. So now if you were listening to country music.
Okay.
Everything that we've tasted tonight, what would be your go-to?
What kind of country music?
Old school.
Okay.
Country music.
Real country music.
Yeah, I didn't say pop country.
All right.
I didn't say modern country because that shit is shit.
The pale ale.
The pale, which one? The Sierra Nevada?
Yeah.
Yeah? You think like...
It's kind of bitter.
Kind of bitter? It's much more bitter than the 5, the Racer 5.
Kind of bitter, kind of like my dog left me, my wife left me. I've got, all I got is this beer, and it's kind of killing my taste buds, and blah blah blah.
Sitting on the French porch,
yeah,
being an angry old man,
yeah, drinking my Sierra Nevada.
Yep, I could see that. I would go, if it was my choice, I'd actually go with the Elijah Craig.
Okay.
On that one.
Well, I can see, so now I could see that being like, country also has the deep roots, right? And like sitting on my porch drinking my bourbon, right? Like, right. Yeah, and that's your Elijah Craig is that real good sipping bourbon.
Yep.
I could picture myself sitting on a maybe bluegrass. I could go with.
Oh, for sure, bluegrass.
Yeah.
So what about, okay, we're going to get distinctions here. We're going to go rock and roll, and then we're going to go metal.
Ooh.
So rock and roll first. What would you say?
For rock and roll?
Yeah, rock and roll, just straight rock.
I would go with the Woodford.
The Woodford? Okay, yeah. Oh,
Woodford seems like I'm going to drink this when I'm going to go.
I'm going to go to a show. I'm going to do a shot.
Yeah. Like we're gonna We're gonna have some drinks.
We're gonna have some drinks.
Yeah.
Not drinks.
Drinks. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm gonna have some nice drinks. I'm gonna go to a rock show. Like, we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, I can see the
Now, if we're drinking Coors Light, I also could have put that there too.
Yeah. Our Disturbed show experience.
Yeah, don't get me started.
No.
Our lack of Disturbed show experience.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. My $18
But we'll see him in
Coors
March.
Light. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't.
I'm going.
Oh, I'm going. I'm going to sit there and
Yeah.
stand the entire time. If you guys want to know what we're talking about, we went to the Disturbed show here in Phoenix. That was actually canceled because of the weather.
Melting the sound.
Somebody did not cover the soundboard after sound check, and it melted a bunch of stuff.
And the sad part is, I've never had this happen before. I haven't been to a ton of shows. Chris has been to a lot of shows. He said he's never had this happen before.
No,
either.
this is a new thing.
But like, I've never been let into the show and like been allowed to purchase things.
Yeah, we
And
were
then
literally
not have the show actually happen.
We were literally standing at the gate to walk into the venue, into our seats.
Yeah, wait,
We
we had
stood
gotten
in
into the venue. We
Yep.
had purchased beers.
Long line, got in, did the whole security thing, purchased beers, waiting to get down into the actual seating area. They're like, no.
Yeah. First for me, for sure.
Yeah, that's a first for me too. I've had shows canceled.
They
but
usually cancel them well in advance.
Yeah, but never when I'm standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was new.
And it especially was frustrating because it was 110 degrees out.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I was outside trying to hydrate with,
Coors Light.
yeah.
Well, it's water. Yeah.
I mean, I was hydrating.
Yeah, we were all hydrating, and Josh was
Josh was very hydrated.
very hydrated. Sorry, Josh, we love you. So we did rock. So metal. We're talking like Disturbed, Slipknot, some of the stuff that I play for you that's really weird, Ginger, that kind of
I'm going
stuff.
with the Elijah Craig. It's got the most punch. It's got the most power. It's got the most...
Okay.
You could also maybe go with the IPA like this.
It'd be a toss up between the Elijah Craig and the Sierra Nevada.
Yeah, because I mean, that's a punch you in the face kind of beer.
Yeah, it is. Those hops. That Sierra Nevada
it stands
taste.
out.
Yeah, it stands out.
It's distinctive.
Mhm.
And just like, some of the, like Ginger, some of the weird, metal bands that you've introduced
I
me to.
wouldn't say weird.
I'm not, okay, weird is not an accurate portrayal. I say weird because it doesn't fit in like the mainstream, right? It's outside the norm.
It is outside the norm, but for a metal listener like me, it is the norm.
Well, we all set our own norms, man.
It's true.
Yeah.
I will, on this podcast, you will listen to some weird shit.
Yeah. Goat punch death metal.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Goat punch. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I absolutely.
If it doesn't exist, we're creating it.
Yes. I like that. Goat punch. That's a great band name. Goat punch.
I'm telling you, our brewery name. We're not gonna reveal it just quite yet.
No.
But Chris and I have talked about starting a brewery.
Yes.
And our name is killer. We'll get there.
It is.
We'll get there.
Phenomenal, and we have great beer names. That
just wait.
Yeah. Oh, I so want to say the name. I can't. I will not.
We will not.
I will not.
And if you say it, we're editing it out.
Yes. I will not do that.
Okay. And if you were going to go with smooth jazz and maybe some Kenny G, I'm going with the Weller.
Oh, anything that's smooth, you got to go with the Weller.
Yeah.
You got to go with the soprano sax.
There you go.
You got to go with what's the jazz station here?
Oh, I don't even remember.
I think it's like 92.9 or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a smooth. Welcome to 92.9.
Welcome to 92.9. The smooth jazz.
Playing the best of Kenny G.
I like Kenny G.
Don't give me
shoot me, but I like the Kenny G.
It's interesting is I listen to a lot of piano music, like just contemporary piano type.
Yeah.
Where they're playing more modern songs, but it's just the piano. And I'll when I'm sitting in here working in my office, I'll just have that playing in the background. And Emily's like, I kind of like it. She sits, just down the hall here. But it helps me focus. I don't know what it is about like music in particular, but more like classical music really helps me like focus and get stuff done. Like when it's going, I'm in the zone.
With me, it puts me to sleep.
Okay. I mean, I can see that too.
I love classical music. Mozart, Beethoven. Beethoven's one of my favorite composers. But when I'm working, it has to be metal.
Okay.
The more screaming, the better. And I don't know what it is, like whether I can tune it out or just kind of like it's just normal to me, like just to start working and just to hear that stuff in the background.
Knowing you, right? You're a really like rhythm oriented person.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I could see how like that cadence and that hard, like rock has a lot of that like double bass, that like real aggressive, like I'm working, so I could see how like that works for you, because you have like, you probably get in rhythm and you're like banging on the keys in rhythm with the song, right? That's
sometimes that does happen.
It would not surprise me if you were banging along like
I'm typing on my keyboard and my feet are going crazy.
Yeah. So I could see how you would need that to get you going.
I don't need it. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
My dad, I work with my dad. He's like, well, how can you listen to that crap while you're working? I'm like, well, I don't know. How can you not listen to anything while you're working? If I'm doing anything in the garage, outside, doing paperwork, I can't be in dead space. I have to have music playing.
Yeah, I mean, I go for a lot of, I go for a lot of walks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
And I always have music for the walk. Like I can't just walk. Like that would be boring.
Yeah, you just oh, look at the tree.
Yeah, like look at the stars.
Yeah, oh, look, dog shit. Yeah. Because nobody in our neighborhood picks up. Anyway.
Well, this was fun again, man.
Yes. Yeah, hope you guys learned something. Every week we'll bring you some different beers, some different bourbons. We'll get into the high-end stuff, and unfortunately, we will go back to that Jack Daniels that's back there.
Yeah. We'll do a whole Jack night for those of you who are Jack aficionados. We'll do Jack, Gentleman Jack, Single Barrel Jack, whatever.
I have a bottle of Jack Apple. It's not bad.
I'm not drinking Jack Apple.
That's fine. I'll drink it for you.
All right.
Jack Fire, Jack Apple, Honey Jack. Honey Jack is so good.
I don't like whiskey with things in it.
I know. I'm sorry. Honey Jack is really good.
Is it?
It is.
Like, is it good in things or is it good in and of itself?
It's good both ways.
Really?
Yeah.
Like if I was sick and I was to make a tea and put Jack honey in that tea,
you would be healed instantly. If you were to do it a hot toddy.
Okay.
Same thing.
All right.
Jack honey. It's not overly sweet.
Like go to Starbucks, get a medicine ball, pour Jack honey in it.
Cure.
Might give this a go.
We don't need COVID shots anymore. We just need Jack honey.
I mean, there was recently a 102-year-old woman in the UK who, when they asked her how she lived her life so long, she basically said, I drink whiskey every night. So
longevity.
Listen, science. That's all I'm saying.
Science, bitch. If you ever watch Breaking Bad, science, bitch. But we'll get to a lot of stuff on this podcast. Like I said, I'm not a big IPA. Mike is. I like the darker stuff, the reds, the box, the ambers, the nut browns. And everything we can do to support local, we will. Hopefully we'll do a couple podcasts from some local places here. It's not as diverse as, say, Denver or Oregon, but we do have some really good local breweries here that we actually frequent quite a bit. We got Peoria Artisan.
I was there today.
Yep. I was there 2 days ago. We got Front Porch, where we did my 40th birthday. There's Throne, which is down on 67th.
Cactus Tap Room.
That place got some weird shit.
Yeah.
And
we'll dive into some weird stuff too. I've got some sours, which
that's sour from Front Porch.
Yeah,
that was good.
So I've got some I've got a few on cue here that we can pull out that so sours are an interesting flavor profile, right? Because most of the time humans aren't really designed to be eating things that are that bitter.
That's sour, yeah.
You know, like if it's sour, it's probably not supposed to be good for you.
Right, that's the opposite of what you should be eating.
But sour beers, man, I love them.
I
love them.
It's hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one at Front Porch, and I can't remember what it's called.
It was like a cherry. No, that was the
that was the blonde. The blonde was the cherry
the sour
lime.
was good there. I don't remember what it was.
I don't know, but it was delicious.
Yeah.
My wife I wouldn't say hates, but not a big sour. She's more an IPA. She asked me like weekly, can we go get some, like maybe to go, like the 32-ounce cans? I'm like, sure. I don't care.
You don't have to beg me to go to a brewery.
No, never. Never. Especially Peoria Artisan. Yeah. Even though
they have really good food.
If you're in the area of Arizona, Wednesdays, Peoria Artisan Brewery, burger, fries, and a beer. It's $13.50. And
Steal. Their burgers are fantastic.
It is stupid. It is the best house burger I have ever had in my life. Thick.
Cooked to perfection. Their fries are so good.
Their fries are ridiculous. It is seasoned perfectly, and whatever beer, you know, it's their beer, obviously, but it's $13.50. It used to be $10. Thank you, inflation. It's still a hell of a deal.
It's a fantastic deal.
It is one of the best house burgers I've ever had in my life.
Go try something new. You know,
try something new.
Get a beer flight. Who knows? Maybe you'll like something.
I haven't had a beer flight in a long time. Yeah. I just go for gold.
You just pick something and go for it?
Just go for it.
Yeah. So I used to go to this place in Colorado. It's called Weldworks. Mm-hmm. And they have like a couple GABF gold medals. Like their hazy IPAs are like world renowned. They're phenomenal. And they have this recipe where they will like make the same IPA, but they'll use like a different hop variant in it. So it'll be like a Galaxy IPA or like a Centennial IPA or whatever it happens to be. And man, I would go there and I'd get like 3 flights and I'd be like, I am really freaking drunk.
I really what?
But man, they just phenomenal beers. But I really enjoy like learning the different profiles and like seeing, because like you can see it's like the same recipe just with one different ingredient, right? And you can see how it changes different things.
Yeah.
And like see what that tastes like, and it's really fun to be able to do that.
It's like that picture I sent you of the whiskeys the other day.
Yeah. How it ages like year to year to year to year.
The same whiskey.
Yeah.
Year to year in the same barrel, how just the color just changes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. At first year 0 it's white, and by white. What was it, year 30 or whatever, it was like
as dark as
like molasses.
Yeah. Stupid.
Yeah. I would really like I was telling Chris, I would really like to try to drink
all of those, all like 50 bottles.
Yeah, like in a row, like just like little tiny like baby pours, and just like put it on my tongue, go to the next one, and just see how it progresses.
And I told you the Grand Canyon Distillery up in Williams.
Yeah,
they have a white whiskey. I have never been so buzzed so fast.
White whiskey is moonshine.
Yeah, essentially.
For the record.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
but
unaged whiskey.
Yeah,
AKA moonshine.
Moonshine.
I bet you it's like 130 proof too.
Oh, it's at least.
Yeah, because they're not cutting that.
I had like a burger and fries and like a pretzel and a white whiskey, and I was drunk. I'm so glad that
Williams is a great spot, man.
Oh, I love Williams. They have
a cabin up there, right?
Yeah, historic brewing, Grand Canyon Brewing's literally like a 10-minute walk from my place. There's so many good things.
So somebody was telling me about this like catchphrase. If anybody's seen Free Guy, we decided we needed a catchphrase for our podcast, and it's kind of at the moment we're kind of like the movie Free Guy, where Ryan Reynolds has taken his steroids and he's gotten all beef and buff, but he has not been programmed with a catchphrase yet. So our catchphrase is catchphrase.
Or if you like me, you shouldn't go to AA because that's for quitters.
I mean, accurate. But
We do not condone alcoholism is a real thing. We don't condone
drinking and driving.
and we don't condone underage drinking.
We think that everybody should practice responsible drinking. Just like everything else in life, alcohol requires balance, right?
If you're going to drink, designate a driver. Make sure you do the Uber, the Lyft, whatever you guys got to do.
Jump in a car with a stranger. Wait, maybe not.
We were told not to do that as
I
kids.
know. It's like such a foreign concept for me.
It took me forever to do the Uber or the Lyft because I'm like, I was told not to take rides from strangers and not to meet people off the internet.
And yet here I am.
Doing
both things in the same shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
But yeah, I mean, this is. I'll be honest with you. When me and Chris put this together, I wasn't sure what this would look like or what this could turn into, and I've had an awful lot of fun here. I hope you have as well, and I hope that you come back and we're able to do this for a while, and you're able to learn something along the way, and we're able to learn something along the way.
And if anybody has any questions, you can email us bourbonbeatsbrews@gmail.com. We also have an Instagram set up. It is at bourbonbeatsbrews. You can interact with us there. Ask us questions. If you guys want to learn something, or if you have questions about anything.
You want us to review something?
Yeah, review something. You guys came across some weird beer in the middle of nowhere. Let us know. We'll try to figure it out. If you guys got a whiskey you want to try, we're always down for trying new stuff. And yeah, we'll call it there.
It's been phenomenal. Thank you.
Next week, we'll probably get into probably some IPAs, despite my...
I was going to mix it up a little bit next week. Maybe next week we can go nut browns. You want to get a little nutty?
So it's going to be a 4-hour podcast.
You want to get a little nutty next week?
Let's get a little nutty.
Let's get nutty.
Oh, as long as there's Oak Creek on the table.
Let's get nutty.
Yeah, let's get nutty.
All right.
I can do that for sure. And
bourbon.
Bourbon. What are we going to do next week for bourbon?
I say, hear me out. All right. Let's go makers. And let's choose like 3 or 4 different varieties of makers.
Of makers? Okay.
So for those of you who don't know makers, makers does this thing where they put different stave profiles. So a stave is basically like a piece of wood.
Yeah,
right?
I know what a stave is. I'm a drummer. I know what a stave is.
So they put staves into the actual barrel with the whiskey.
Yeah.
But they put different wood profiles in there.
Different types of wood?
Different types of wood to give the bourbon different flavors. So it's still makers, but it will have a different stave profile. So like if you look at that bottle on the thing, it'll tell you it's got, 0 of one, 2 of another one, 6 of one, 2 of 0, 2 of another one, and 0 of another one. So it's got like, those are 5 different stave profiles that they normally use.
That's crazy.
And the stave profiles that they put in there alters the bourbon. So they put in like sweet sugar maple or like a different, American charred oak or American white oak. And the stave profile they put into it will change the flavor of the whiskey.
Yeah.
So we could do like a couple different makers picks. Like that's a private selection pick. That's a Fry's barrel. And that one's actually saved.
Yeah,
so
I was about to say,
one will not be open.
Isn't that one safe for
so
your
I bought
son?
that one. My kid stood in line with me. I was at a bourbon event at Fry's, and he stood in line with me for an hour when I bought that bottle of Eagle Rare back over there. And I was waiting in line for bourbon, and I had just picked up my kid from school, and he was a trooper about it. And he was asking me some really good questions, like, Dad, what is this? Like, and I was talking to him about it, and I'm like, when you're old enough, you can try this stuff. And he was like, well, how old do I have to be? I told him 21, and he was like, well, let's buy something that I can drink when I'm 21. And I was like, Okay, so I bought him this
Challenge
$100 bottle of Maker's Mark
accepted.
to for him and I to split in 15 years from now. So that is going to sit on my shelf for 15 years, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, it's a special bottle.
But we can definitely maybe we could try that out.
I'm not that familiar with makers in and of itself. So
Makers, so we could get like some Makers, just straight Makers, which is actually when we were talking about Makers is well in a lot of places.
That's true. That is true. That's actually a good well.
But they have a lot of higher end stuff that we could maybe dive into a little bit. We could get a couple bottles. Maybe we get 3 bottles of Makers. We could try 3 different bottles.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
We'll do Makers and nuts.
Let's get nuts.
Make the nuts. No. Okay. We'll just.
That's the end of this podcast.
That's the end of this podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something. If you got any questions, interact with us on the socials. Email again is bourbonbeatsbrews@gmail.com.
And then at Bourbon Beats Brews.
Bourbon Beats Brews for the Instagram. Send us DMs. Whatever you guys need to know, we will definitely consider.
Yeah. If we don't have an answer, we'll get back to you with one when we have it.
And I hope you guys take care, drink responsibly, and please don't drink alone because that's just sad.
It is just sad.
We'll see you next time.